Go. And if there is a motion to adopt those, we'll entertain that.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Ricky, do it. Hand me the agenda. He's throwing it away.
Here you go.
All right. Item 1, under new business, authorization for the mayor to execute an amendment to the special funding agreement with TES for the administration of the FY23 Hope Initiative Summer Jobs Program. Dr. Thompson Jackson,
I'll be first.
Okay.
Before we actually make this request, at your request that you ask that the actual agency who's administering the program come in and give an update. So we do have Dr. Thompson Jackson and her team to give you an update before I present this item.
Okay. And before you start, you are a woman after my own heart. This is exactly the kind of things I ask. Thank you. Come on up. Tell us about your program.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We want to first thank you for allowing us to administer the grant again, and we've kind of given you some overall statistics. We started off with 45 students, and we thank you, I think the students thank you for the increase in rate of pay, which really made a big difference. We went from $8 to $13 an hour, which made it more competitive, but it meant the world to the students, to the parents, because the parents were saying, as citizens, we know that our children need this extra support. Many of the children that are youth, I gotta stop saying children, many of the youth that we help, we take them through the extra steps that they need. So some of them, transportation is a big barrier. Some of them, just some work ethics are barriers. And so you may say, well, we paying them $13 an hour. They can go straight to McDonald's and get a job, but those work ethics aren't for them. So if you ever go to McDonald's downtown, which I frequent, and I'm not saying anything that is not public, sometimes you see a change in the shift over and over and over. So we're helping to instill some soft skills with them. We're doing a little bit more one-on-one touch points with the students. And so we were approved for 45 students, but what happened was we had 12 additional students that we decided to advocate for to get them in the program. 11 showed up because you have to attend orientation. 1 withdrew 1 week after the program. 1 was a no-show on the first day of work, which that happens. And so we totaled out with 54 participants. We listed them out by zip code, who's all in what area. And then we also listed out the agencies and boys, girls, the demographics, African American, Hispanic. We will be doing, last year we did a VIP tour of Shelton, Stillman, and the UA. And we did the Civil Rights Museum, which Temporary Emergency Services covers the cost. This year we will be doing a tour of the Birmingham Civil Rights Museum and Miles College, and we're going to try to work in UAB, and then the culminating event will be graduation, which will be held at Stillman College. So I just brought 2 that are working with us just to say their names and then why they're in the program.
Hey, welcome.
Good to see you.
My name is Alina Williams. I work at Temporary Emergency Services through the Hope Summer Program. I'm in this program to increase many skills that I need when I grow up. This program has taught me how to be more responsible, be productive with my time, because it's always something you could be doing. And overall, it just taught me how to work and interact with others.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Paul Covarrubia. I work at Temporary Emergency Services under the Hope Summer Program. I joined because I thought it would help increase my repertoire of different activities and prepare me for the work life ahead.
Thank you both for coming in. How did you hear about the program?
My mother had seen it on Facebook, and she sent it to me and thought it would be a good opportunity.
Good. Paul, how about you?
I work at Temporary Emergency Services.
It was the same for me. My mother had brought it up to my attention. So,
Good.
Chairman Busby.
Yeah.
If you remember last year, I talked about, I'm glad we did do the increase, but I'm going to plug this in because I spoke this last year about increasing this to 200,000. And because of the fact that you see what these kids are doing, I really want us to be intentional about what we can do for this program. If I remember correctly, you talked about you wanted to see diversity within this group, and as I look today, I see that has been done, and so that we can continue this program and build up Tuscaloosa. But I think what we've done this year is great.
And again, you took all the wind out of my sails, because you answered the kinds of things I asked. What are the criteria, or are there any criteria for the youth coming into the program?
So they have to attend orientation, so they first complete an application. We interview them just like if they were at a normal job. We ask that they come in professionally dressed, and we realize that has been a small barrier for some of them, but they really do a great job at doing it. Mm-hmm. We also have to talk to parents. We've got a few parents that are latchkey parents, and they think that they can go and sit with their child, and we explain to them that's not work. That's not the way work works. And so we are having to have conversations with parents. When your baby goes to work, your baby is at work. Now they are a young adult.
That's right.
We are preparing them for work and to vote and to make a difference in our community. So you have to cut it off. So we're having conversations. So we had one gentleman that was, let's see, what did he do? So they were at one of our locations, and they were horseplaying. They were on their break and horseplaying, and the supervisor noticed it and talked to the on-site job coaches. And what he attempted to do was to use what they do at that age, his mouth, to defend himself, and not in a derogatory way. They just think they can just, well, I wasn't doing anything, but you got to be quiet. You got to be quiet. So
that's right.
They asked for him to be removed from that job site. When he was explaining to us, I said, what's the first thing you should have done? He said, I should have just been quiet. I just should have been quiet. And he said, I thought by explaining they would understand we were just horseplaying. He said, but let me tell you something. He said, I go to work on time. I walk to my job. He started listing all the attributes that he had. He said, I made this one mistake. I said, baby, don't take but one. Don't take but one. But I said, you're realizing it, and I was able to communicate with another agency, and they said, guess what? Because he's learning and we are able to work with him, we will take him. So we were able to get him placed somewhere else immediately. So it's good for them to see when they have faults that this is the time to correct.
That's right.
And by having a job coach and taking that extra time, we can fix the soft skills, because a lot of them have a lot of soft skills that need to be repaired. We talk about taking the do-rags off. We talk about pulling your pants up, keeping a belt on, and it's just the little things that help. And so we go through those, and if we identify any educational barriers, we flip it over to the other side, and then we start addressing those with the school if anybody needs some help there. And then we go a little bit further if moms are having, or dads are having issues at home with social work type things, we're able to step up and help with that. We also bring in the bank to make sure they understand banking, and trying to get them to stay out of Walmart cashing their checks for 3%, because you're losing money. You're losing big money. So we're spending a lot of time with them. The job coaches are here. Ms. Morgan is here. They do more of the one-on-one. I get to be the principal sometimes, and they get to come in my office, and it's just about getting them to be citizens of Tuscaloosa and getting them to the next step. That's all we're trying to do, and sometimes it's a little harder than what we think, but the team over there, they enjoy it, so they get the job done.
Thank you very much. When you place them, and these are the these work sites, that's where the places that they work. Is the city paying the entire salary, or is it split with the work site?
You're paying the entire salary. You pay the entire salary.
All right. Any other questions?
And I think that's a plus, because if you look, a lot of these are nonprofits, so that's a double win. Because during the summer, we also need help, because the students at the University, Stillman and Shelton, are gone. So we lose a lot of our volunteer workforce. You know, the university pumps out a lot, but during the summer it decreases. So the demand that we have, that our day-to-days need, still is ongoing. So by having these students, it's not about the age, it's about the maturity. And most of us are able to work with them. We've got a great set, don't have a problem, and we auto adjust if there is a problem, and that's what we're there for, to help them to correct and think, to be great citizens.
Again, thank you very much for coming.
Thank
in.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I think when we have opportunities like this for programs that's working, I agree with Matthew, we do need to pour more money into this and be proactive instead of reactive. Because we always want to meet and have a roundtable discussion when we see a lot of violence and crime and things like that in the younger generation, but we have opportunity before us, then we kind of clutch pearls when it comes to the money part of it. So that's just something for us to consider maybe the next time, but we need to be thinking about an increase in areas like this for programs that's really working.
Thank you, Councilman.
It's a very relevant point. I
Thank
think
you.
I assume going into agency hearing,
Right.
Yes, sir.
y'all are gonna get together and
Oh, yes,
craft
sir.
that.
Yes, sir.
And we're fortunate that none of our young boys have been in any trouble. And we touch back
awesome.
with them. You know, there's been a lot of gun
Just fell
violence,
to the
you
deep
know.
breath.
Unfortunately, guns are just,
Yeah.
and I guess the chief is over here looking at me, I ain't gonna talk about guns, I don't like guns. You know, but it's a problem. But the more we can work with our youth to understand conflict resolution and keeping your mouth closed, just because somebody say something to you about your mama, you don't go get a gun and do this. That's not the way to solve it. You know, I know you love your mama, so we're able to talk to them in a way. Sometimes we have to speak the same language that they're speaking. We got to go there.
Yeah,
And
right.
Terrence is a big enough fella to go there. We're trying to get them to understand that's not gonna help. So we're fortunate that we talked last year, you gave us some additional funds and we met back with them. I thought everybody had been to certain places in town to eat pizza. They had not gone to certain places in town to eat a pizza, which is right down the street. And we took them there, we went over to Jalapenos. They had not been to Alberta City. No clue that Tuscaloosa is bigger than what violence is. And so, by doing just those little things and touching with them, when somebody got ready to apply for a job, they asked us because they used us for a reference. So we kind of touched up, which we cover the cost of that additionally throughout the year.
When you're putting together this initiative and you're coming up with your costs, did you come to the city and say, we want y'all to fund us $100,000? Or is that the city said, we're gonna give you through this, we're gonna grant you $100,000 or whatever?
Yeah,
And then you add that to the program, and what can you do with that, right?
right.
So if we came to you and said, we're gonna give you, I'm gonna say $150,000 or whatever, you would tailor make the program based on that, which hopefully would get your numbers up 50% at least, right, with the hiring, right? So, okay, that,
Yeah, you have that
We
the
do the
numbers
calculation.
established.
Calculation is done in the RFQ that we send out. So it's based on really the number of actual youth that we're trying to get at the 100,000 at $13 for 7 weeks for 20 hours a week was 45. So that's where we got, and then what she's talking about, there were 12 on the waiting list, and so that was like an additional 24,000, especially starting out at 13.
So what was the total of that amount, if I may?
23,520.
So the total was,
So our contract, what we'd be doing today, if you all grant this, we would have a contract amendment not to exceed 124,000.
so is once we do that, Karen, how quickly will those kids be hired?
Oh, they're already hired.
Oh, they're already hired.
So you gotta write a check,
the money back in the pocket.
Yeah, we hired them, we sent them through orientation, they've already been to work.
That's even better.
So we cover the cost up front, and then it's a
And we're
reimbursement.
reimbursement.
So, and then we have, there's
Sorry, I
about
was asleep.
less than $10,000, so, roughly 10% that goes to the salaries, and we have at least, there's 7 of us, out of that, 6 employees. So you can tell that we're putting in the extra admin on ours. So we're covering the cost of the trips, we cover the cost, the city's not paying for that. The bulk of your money goes into hiring and paying the salaries of the students. We
That's
just,
good.
you give us enough admin, to do what we do, and then the rest we do out of love.
Well, I think those, I appreciate what y'all are doing, but I know that teaching all of our kids those soft skills, the things that will make them successful, I mean, things that I guess I grew up, or we all grew up thinking, well, you have to show up at work on time, and you have to do these little things will make a huge difference in their work life. And the more they can, all of our kids, including my children, can be trained, they're gonna be better employees. They're gonna understand how to go to work with the right attitude. And I'm grateful that that you're able to reach those kids and making a difference.
Dr. Thompson Jackson, I just want to say to you and your whole team, thank you for how y'all manage it and, looking at it from a holistic view, even with the parents. Being a former employment specialist, sometimes the parents can, hold on to them too tight, and then our children, they get used to, our young adults get used to hearing us fuss and complain about being on time and waking up early, so it doesn't resonate the same way. But when you can hear it from someone else and see your peers out doing the same thing, it's different. So thank you for looking at all of those components, because it really does make a difference in our community, and I hope that we can expand it. Y'all really do a good job with it, and please continue to invite us to the end of the year celebration. Yeah, our end of the 7 weeks.
It's to piggyback what Ray said. I'll say one more thing. I'll say that. I'll probably say one more thing. But it's really good too to see the results. That's a great, like Chairman Busby said, the annual report's great. That's just a great white paper.
Right.
To say, this is where our money's going, these are where the kids are, they were hired, and these are where they're working, this is the difference they're making. I think that is a huge story to tell, and I hope y'all are telling it, and the city needs to be telling it. Saying this is where your funding has gone, and the difference it's making for these kids. I think that's big.
These are the results.
And when they have issues like transportation, we pick kids up, we drop them off. We go a little extra than most programs would and cover the cost of doing it, because it's just one of those things you need to do.
Right.
And those stories aren't really, told. If somebody needs some clothes right now,
I was gonna ask about those
take
social.
care of those
Take care of that
things
too.
right then. So it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference when you're doing that, because now the parents come to us, they talk to us, and I think, and the only thing we didn't write, which we'll get those numbers, we probably had at least 20 kids that were in the program last year that automatically kept calling and calling to say, I need to be here. And the conversation that I would have with them is, why don't you just go get a job? Like they said, but there's a difference in what y'all do. I think it's, I'm not work ready. And they're able to tell you that. They're able to say, I'm in McKenzie Court and I gotta walk, but you'll help me get to work. Okay, yes, if you got a job at McDonald's, I'm not gonna come transport you. You're in this program, so I'm gonna help you try to figure it out, because we still have some transportation issues in the city bus. It's I ain't gonna say nothing. But there's still some little concerns, and everything is not smooth, and so some of them have not built up the confidence. We've got a shortage of people at Mercedes, but we gotta get the confidence built up so that employment line can go. They gotta have, and if they're not ready, they're just not ready. And I'd rather get them ready than they go out there, miss 3 days or whatever that number is, and they can't get that dream job. So just working with them a little bit more. We talked to them about signing up at the chamber site, going through their employment portal. A lot of them just don't know, or they just say, I'm not ready yet. I need some additional help. And then they also have a school balance. You gotta remember, a lot of them are still in school. They're trying to figure out how to work and how to keep my grades up. And that's not easy even for college students.
Right.
Yeah, you have to be
That's
taught
a
how
lot.
to do that.
That'd be discipline.
I'm very glad we had you come in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Gentlemen,
you
is there a
much.
motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Again, thank y'all all for coming in. Item number 2, General Fund Budget Revision number 17, Part A, Funding for Hope Summer Jobs Funding Agreement Amendment. Ms. Standards, that's what we just heard.
Yes, sir, that is exactly what we just heard, and this will be a budget revision to move money from the contingency line item within the general fund to the, agency funding line item for temporary emergency services.
And, Ms. Johnson, do we can do these
One vote.
one vote, okay? So then moving to Part B, Tuscaloosa Police Department Training Tech Funds for Supplies and Equipment. Chief, are you briefing that?
Yes, sir. We've got about 3 different things we're trying to get out of our training tech funds. The first one is going to be the second part to our fingerprint machines. As y'all learned earlier this year, the county went to a different system, so we had to translate our system to match that so we could actually get on the state system to get returned back for fingerprints. This second part of the machine will be the one that'll be in our secure processing center at headquarters. That will be used to get everybody on the same system, so it hits back for fingerprints on burglaries, car break-ins, and that kind of stuff. The second one is we're going to have to buy new drones. We had previous drones, but the company has decided now they want to go on an annual subscription basis, which means that I believe they were trying to get $15,000 a year, which we're not going to pay that. Basically, our fee would go to them, the second party, and we get it through there. Now we're applying a subscription to view that, so they went with a different business model. So we are buying new drones, so we do not have to pay the subscription, and buying the new drones are cheaper than paying the subscription every single year. So we're trying to purchase those. The last thing is going to be a bomb stick. Basically, I don't do bombs, so I'm not very technical on this. You put the bomb inside of it, it goes boom. And we need a container to do that. We don't have one.
Very technical.
Yeah, the county does.
Lanier wants to work with that.
Yeah, the county has one. We used theirs last year. We do have to use them every once in a while. And our bomb squad desperately needs one of those, so we don't have to wait on the county, because when we want something to go boom, we need it to go boom right then. That's the most technical way I can do it.
So when you want to say boom, say boom.
It goes boom, but it contains the boom.
I like that.
Do y'all have T-shirts for your bomb technicians that say,
Stand back. And
I'm a bomb technician. If you see me running, try to keep up.
Yeah, if I'm close and they're turning this way, I'm going faster that way.
So what do we do? What do we do with the old drones, Chief?
The old drones, basically, they're useless at this point. Now, I want to be very clear. We have different kinds of drones. These are internal, in-the-house drones. We have drones that are made for wind and big drones, but these are actually the ones that we fly in houses that we can break windows with for barricaded suspects and all that kind of stuff. So these are the small internal drones. They're, I think, 6,000 a piece or something like that.
How many do we
I can't
have?
remember the exact amount.
How many do we have?
We have 2 of those.
Oh.
So these are the leaners. So we have desperately need to replace them, because paying the fee that this company went to, and we've used this company for a long time, is just outrageous. There's no way we can pay that fee. It's not worth it. We can literally replace the drones cheaper and not have that fee and save the city money that way.
Yes, sir.
Okay, gentlemen, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. So moved. No questions.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay.
Hey, you can kill the
Item is approved.
Everybody's for that.
Okay. Any other business to be brought before the Finance Committee? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.